On part two of generations, we're going to compare the G2 to the G3 and look at some of the similarities, differences, and maybe make a bit of a judgment call as to which one I know I would prefer if I was shopping, particularly for a first timer. So if we just look at them together, very different looking. The G3 on the bottom was the first one to start using this sort of silver look that pretty much dominates, even today, the look of the EliteDesk. And there was only two generations with the black, the G1 and G2. If we flip them on the back, very similar, different, same time. The top, I've already, on the G2, I've installed a HDMI in the expansion slot. That's right in the middle there under the thumb screw. They both have 4 of the USB 3.0 ports. They both have gigabit Ethernet. They both use the same power supply. On the bottom, the G3. This is the only one of the various ones. I don't know, maybe they change it later on, but at least the G1 through 5. This is the only one that used this kind of, where instead of a thumb screw, you have this latch. I'm not a big fan of it. It's a lot harder for me to open up the back. I don't know if mine's bent, but it just doesn't, as I'm trying to get it off, it always seems to snap back into place. Both have Wi-Fi. They both have at least one of the display ports. This one is using the Flex IO. That was the G3 was the first to have the Flex IO. This is the version 1 Flex IO that's used in the G3, 4, and 5. And of course, this has good old VGA on there. Let's take off the cover and see what that looks like. This is something that I really wish they had continued later on, where with the G2 and the G1, it had the information. It said the kind of unit you're getting. It's a G2, it's a 35 watt. This is very generic. I mean, I'm sure you could probably memorize maybe some of these part numbers and so forth, but if I have this laying around and I have my G4 and my G5 that covers off, I sometimes get confused because the fronts look alike. There's not any nomenclature that lets you know what unit it's supposed to go with. I may even have to write in Sharpie or something on these just so I can tell them apart. Okay, just for completeness, of course, we have the bottoms. This one we've seen before in the prior video. It will actually show that it's an EliteDesk 800 G2 Mini 35 watt. Gives the power information. Of course, it has the VESA mounts. Likewise with the EliteDesk, it's going to say same thing. G3 has the mounts. You notice it's a little different. This is kind of a bar, where this is more of the more traditional, I guess, I don't know, maybe more modern as far as the more square type setup. I believe that's what carries over to the in the future. That's how they do it, is where it's more like this. And I think it just makes it probably a little easier when you're trying to use some of the different ones that allow you to put it on the back of a monitor. Now we're looking at the innards. Very, very similar looking as far as the placement. The G2 just kind of had their SATA cable sort of sitting here plugged in, where this the cable is a little more integrated into the rest of the caddy, and that's something that you'll see in the later models also. They both use a caddy, very similar. The heat sinks over here look very similar with 3 screws. You've got a fan. These guys look very close. Underneath here, you've got your memory. Differences, of course, is that on the G2, the fastest is 2133, and on the G2, it's 2133. On the G3, it's 2400. They both can use 6th generation Intel processors like the 6500T, but the G3 can also use 7th generation, the 7500, the 7600, 7700, both the normal and the T. Of course, the T is for the ones using the 35 watt units. You may be able to see down here, this is kind of what the Flex IO looks like versus over here you've got your expansion card. Let me see if I can grab 2 of those just to show you the difference. Here you actually have sort of 3 generations. This is the more the expansion card. This is what was used in the G2. This is the Flex IO version 1, which is in the G3, 4, and 5. And then this is version 2 of the Flex IO, and that's used with the G6, possibly the G7 also. I learned this the hard way when I thought I was ordering an HDMI port for my G5, and I thought the G5, this was the part it used, but no, this won't fit. It's just ever slow off. So I ended up cannibalizing another G4, and I used its. But those are the three types. Okay, so here's the cage from the G2, the G3. Very different setups. They both, though, have a feature that I just recently, it just dawned on me, that if you take these little screws out and then you take this, the metal piece, you have a quick way that you can get into your M.2 slots. And then that way you don't have to take the whole cage out. You can just do your thing and then put the little cover back onto it and you're ready to go. So those are kind of cool. As far as the layout, both have the M.2 here with the connector at the end here. One nice thing with the G3, it's got an actual spot here that you can screw in to do your 2230s. You both have the Wi-Fi card, and the Wi-Fi card is pointing this way. So if you want to do the whole Wi-Fi hard drive, you can do that. Again, both using kind of a ribbon connector for the SATA connector. Not a whole lot. I'm going to leave these on because there's really not a big difference between the two. If you really want to see what it looks like, you can watch the other video where I compare the G1 and G2, and you can kind of see what this looks like. But again, very similar. Even the RAM setup is very similar between the two. They both have 2 slots. They both have a maximum of 32 gig that you can put in them. Let's see, what other, nothing too spectacular, just, differences in where they put the lithium battery. The one thing I have found with this guy, with the G3, is that sometimes it's a little difficult getting that Flex IO, and I had a couple times where I had to actually take all of this out, and it made it easier to be able to get to fit everything in there. But that's more of a a personal preference. I just found after a while it was a little hard to get in there. These particular units are both using 6500T processors. So, and they both have 16 gig of memory. Okay, then the question is, which one would I choose? And it's always easy to say, well, I'll just go with the newer one. But the problem with the G3, it's a nice unit. I definitely like it. I like the fact that It has a very similar layout to the G2 in terms of how the M.2 slots are set up. The thing is, though, is that even if I put in a 7th gen, I'm still only getting 4 core. So it's not like there's a big jump there. I can't put more memory into it. Um, yes, it's nice. The Flex IO, I might have some more options. This is going to allow me, if I wanted to put in a USB-C for the back. So I could have back and front, and I believe you can also have it set up so that it will do power delivery. So that's kind of cool, if that's something that you like. Um, but as far as, you know, pricing and so forth, um, yes, if you could find 2 units that were identical spec and price, sure, I might go for the G3. But at the same time, I use a G2 65 watt for editing like this video that we're watching now, and for my normal day-to-day operation. So it's not like I really need something with extra juice. So where the G1 and G2, I could really definitely say go G2. I might almost be inclined, to, especially for someone starting out, maybe the G2, because that way, maybe the memory might be a little cheaper because it's only the 2333. Um, although, and you can still get, swap it out like I did on mine and put HDMI, so you're not, stuck with the display port. So yeah, that G3 is in kind of a funny place, right in between the 2 and the 4, because the 4 you're going to start getting into your 6 core, and there's even stuff where you can add on some units, I believe you can add a whole graphics card. So yeah, I mean, you're not going to go wrong with either unit. Um, so I don't know, flip a coin maybe. I don't want to, but I think I might stick with the go with the G2. So this particular unit that I have here, this was my first EliteDesk, and it's served me well.